Hi, welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion. But before we begin, I want to show you this. Okay, and okay. So today I wanted to do a movie that, that I've been wanting to do for like a couple of years, but I just never got to it. So that's what this is. This is America the Motion Picture. It is it's not. Here's the thing. This movie presents itself as like kind of, like Team America or something from the South Park guys. There even is. The problem is that this movie does not really want to be like. There's a lot of moments it feels like it doesn't even want to be a comedy because it's just so like unfunny that it's just you wonder sometimes if it even wants to be a comedy. So the plot is Bet. What was his name again? Andy Samberg's character, Benedict Arnold, which the whole joke around him is basically, that he's Benedict Arnold and that he's the verb for when people are being traitors to somebody now. And that's pretty much the whole joke with his character. Just they keep saying Benedict Arnold, to be funny, I guess. I don't know. It could have been cute if you only did it like once, but since it's the entire movie you decided to do it, that's another thing. And so anyway, so Benedict Arnold apparently kills the founding fathers in the first scene. So yeah, this is really again, at least Team America at least didn't have all the world leaders die in the first scene. That's the thing. So it sets its tone very quick that it's again, it wants to be like Naked Gun or Spaceballs or Team America, but it just can't fit into that. So anyway, so then we meet Channing Tatum's character, George Washington, where he's in the Ford, sponsored by Ford theater. I guess that's kind of funny. And that's another thing too. They try their hand at the airplane style jokes, but the problem is that they don't do them right. Like they're too obvious with them and too like even Airplane knew that sometimes just a quick gag was enough. But the problem is that this one will hold on it for a little bit longer to be like, you get it? It's like, yeah, I got it for the split second. You get it? But when every millisecond of it is basically just I don't know. Like it's kind of like if Airplane decided the cast was just gonna be there and not tell any jokes or something, and there was just gonna kind of be like all the stuff in the background. Like, yeah, that's a part of it, but you also need to have the other part of it. So basically, the plot is in the Ford Theater. Everybody knows. I don't think I need to do a spoiler alert thing to say that Lincoln dies in Ford Theater. Um, so so Abraham Lincoln, played by Will Forte, there he dies. Benedict Arnold kills him. Then it becomes a whole hunt for George Washington to find him. He finds these friends along the way, like Jefferson and Edison and the team. The only thing is they've decided that Thomas Edison is now going to be, let's just say, changed in a very modern Hollywood way because they want to make a joke about the things that happened in Salem at the time. They want to make a joke about that. That's really the only reason why they would do it. But yeah. So him and the Hollywood's preferred one and the team go forth to try to get revenge on Benedict Arnold for killing Lincoln. On the way, they find out that apparently the British and King George played by Simon Pegg. Now, here's the thing I'm going to say about King George and Simon Pegg, all right? Simon Pegg is famously a Star Trek actor, all right? Now, if you're going to do the thing that because the actor was in the thing, we're going to make references to the thing, at least understand the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars. Because they've decided that King George is basically Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars, but the thing is that you have a Star Trek guy playing him, and it really does feel through every time you see him like they're doing it intentionally, and I don't know, it's not a big deal. It's just like something that bugged me when I watched it. Like, why are they having the guy who played in the start? Like you're making a point to have a reference to the sci-fi thing. You couldn't at least do it to the Star Trek he's actually in, and not Star Wars. It just seems like, I don't know. It seems like they did that intentionally. So pretty much, here's the plot of the villains. All right. So King George, working with Benedict Arnold, has decided that he wants to use tea that he will put into rain clouds to turn every American British. This is the plot of the thing. This is the evil plot that they are trying to stop. But don't worry though, because New Edison has created a device to be able to change the tea into beer, and now they become like college frat bros now. I don't know. Again, the humor is not funny when it's, I don't know, there's a way to really be funny in this, but the problem is that the movie seems to think randomness is funnier. Like, it has the Rick and Morty model that way, where it thinks randomness is funny. And it's like, no, it's not. It's like, there's few, like Sharknado, that actually randomness does help, but the problem is that you have to actually calculate your randomness. You can't just have random things happen, and now it's funny. Because random, like for instance, for random things, by the way, Benedict Arnold is now a werewolf. I don't know why this is a thing. They decided to make it a thing. And apparently there was a whole deleted scene with dinosaurs, Hulk Hogan, and I think Kid Rock, I wasn't really, maybe, but, yeah, and then they decided at the last minute that they're not going to do that scene or something. They say it was too expensive or something, but it's like, why? You're animating all this weirdness. Why would that be? But I don't know. It's just like, you feel some movies you would be like, oh, we need that deleted scene to be back in to make it. Like, there have been movies in the past that have had like a better, if they had put it in, like Liar Liar. Like, but the problem is that this movie is so jam-packed with so much randomness at once that it's like, I feel like there was probably like 20%, like 20 minutes of this movie I would have cut. Maybe the fight between werewolf Benedict Arnold and George Washington didn't have to happen. Maybe they didn't have to be, maybe they didn't have to be. Maybe he didn't have to be a werewolf. Oh, and Lincoln comes back as a Jedi ghost because of Star Wars, I guess. I don't know. It's not a good film. And then Martha Washington gets turned into a British girl for a while, and then beer hits her, and now she's a Statue of Liberty. I don't know. I'm telling you how I'm assuming it was pitched. Yeah. Here's the thing about this film. It just feels like it wants to, unlike Team America, where it feels like it was actually satirizing something that was happening at the time, like whether it be Alec Baldwin and the celebrities, like all decide, like all thinking that they can rule the world, and stuff, and like they made fun of Sean Penn and Alec Baldwin and how celebrities think they're in charge of like politics and government or something. which was funny. And like World Police also had a lot of stuff in it that was timely at the time. This does at the time when it came out. Just the problem is that Team America felt like it at least was trying to satirize it in a funny way. This film just feels like it has like I said about Rick and Morty, just feels like let's throw everything at you at once. Like every idea we had in the pitch room was literally open. Was literally just here you go, here it is, here's the thing. So, and because of stuff like that, we get things like Disney announced now that Black Panther's white now. That's yeah, he's apparently, you heard that right, and I'm sure you've seen it. And then you've got like Fantastic Four trying to sell blue milk now. It's like, and then you've got Pedro Pascal tweeting, "Why isn't anybody buying the blue milk?" It's like, okay, it's like that's the thing. Is that just we need creativity again, and if you're gonna satire things about like, and there's a lot of stuff you could satire. Okay, there's a lot of stuff you could satire about America. I'm not one of those people that's like you can't satirize it. I'm just saying there's a difference between real satire and we really don't care. We never had an opinion on it or anything, so we're just not. We're just gonna kind of do whatever the hell we feel like. It doesn't really matter. And then the problem is that then we get to after the battle happens, after George Washington kills Benedict Arnold, and after no, I'm sorry, the werewolf now. After he kills him, and then King George gets defeated, and all the British men are turned into frat bros now because the tea was turned into beer. Again, this would have worked so much better if you just took off if you just took off the like America Motion Picture and just had a big sponsored by Bud Light. That would have been so funny. It really would have been like it would have been funny if this was like a Bud Light ad or something. That would have been funnier. I don't know because they're trying to get their cred back ever since the situation. So it would just be funny to see them try to do like a little movie like this and call it like Bud Light the movie, and it's just this. I don't know. I think it'd be funny just in like a troll way, I guess. And then we get to the end here, where basically the end is basically America bad because of the things that CNN say why America's bad, and it's like okay, here's the thing: when the movie's trying to be like that's the problem with this movie is that it's so random throughout, and then there's just every once in a while they'll be like what they did with Edison, or at the end where you have one guy yelling, "What about slavery?" Any other girl yelling, "What about like equal pay?" or what? Yeah, and then you have this other one yelling about like other stuff that I think they may have mentioned Iraq at one point there, even the Mission Accomplished banner. I don't know. It's just like it just feels like there's like half of the script is trying to be Team America, trying to be like we're funny, we're satire, and then the other half of the script is like, but we don't like it though. But we don't like anything about what we're satirizing, and that's the thing is that at least the South Park guys kind of have a maybe not a full love for this country, but like a little bit, like enough that they can satirize it in a way that's actually funny. Like when they make Team America, there's a reason why people asked them for a while, "Are you going to make a sequel?" And then they said, "No, we're not doing that puppet thing again." Um, and there's a reason why people are wanting to see what they do in the new season because that's the thing is that they've figured out that see a lot of these animated things are trying to find relevance, like say King of Hill or Simpsons, Family Guy, all them. The thing is that the only at least South Park figured out that their relevance is just going to be satirize things that are happening in news at time. The problem is that ends in our news cycle now. That ends up being just hard to do because then people are like, "Oh yeah, you remember that happened 6 months ago? Wow, it feels like 3 years ago, right?" Anyway, so and that's the thing. It's just like so it's just like I don't know. It's just like at least South Park figured out the writers of that figured out with Team America that you have to actually satirize it in a funny way. And there's a reason why people still enjoy that movie and why this movie, as soon as it came out, was reviewed by like probably a handful of people, and then it disappeared into the thin air. And why I wanted to talk about it was because I wanted to bring up, like I said in the beginning, I wanted to bring up a film that I wanted to talk about for a while. And at the time, I was busy, so I didn't really have the time to do it. But so again, it's I don't like it. I really don't. I think if you want to see a better film that's about that's like trying to satirize America, watch Team America. It's at least it's not that great, but it's still better than this. Even even again, like I said in another review, I said Ryan George does the billionaire thing better in the Mountainhead review. Again, that's even Ryan George does like sometimes better satire, sometimes. But that's the thing is that it's like if YouTube channels do satire better than the movies, and that's saying something. Because satire, I don't mind satire. What I mind is satire written by people who can't stand the thing they're satirizing to the point that it becomes less about satire and more just about we must yell at you. We must yell at you because we don't like you and we don't like what you believe. So that's kind of the thing. It's like, and the end scene is basically just that. The end scene is basically just them. Is basically just George Washington being like, "Oh my gosh, so much division, so much hatred. If only and wondering, oh my gosh, how are we ever going to become a country or something?" And then I'm sure there was probably a sequel in mind if they made enough from this, or maybe this was a one-off thing. I don't know. I hope it doesn't make a sequel ever, but judging by the fact it did pretty poorly on the box office. I mean, I know it was streaming, but like it did so poorly in streaming that it basically, whatever the box office streaming numbers are, whatever that term is, it did so poorly for that it just kind of did the thing. It didn't do well enough to have a sequel, yeah. And sorry for that glitch for a second there. The thing wouldn't. I had technical difficulties for a second there. All right. Thank you, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.